Hello, fight fans, and welcome to Rugged Rob's Combat Corner, where combat is always king. I'm your host, the one and only Rugged Rob, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of The Corner, the Combat Corner podcast. And I have a very special guest because we have a very, very special topic. This is the first edition where I entered the realm of amateur wrestling in Section 5 and Section 6 in all over Western New York. And I want to send a special shout out to my man, Don Lilly. I reached out to him because when I want to know anything about wrestling, I go to him. But he sent the next best thing, I say. We have today Matt O'Rourke. How you doing, Matt?
Good, Rob. Thanks for having me.
That's cool. That's cool. Oh, hold on. Shaking hands. All right. Now, Matt, we just met maybe 5-10 minutes ago, but he's my best friend now, and he's going to guide us through amateur wrestling. And the one thing I want to say about amateur wrestling, it's a very important part of American combat. It's one of the fighting arts that we pretty much specialize in. And I was involved in wrestling way back in the day in the early 80s, in 7th and 8th grade wrestling. And the one thing I can remember is we had to drill things, right? And the one thing that made me want to quit was the day we drilled lateral drops. If anybody knows what a lateral drop is, to drill it is like torture. But anyway, that goes out to the wrestlers, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Matt, he's now you write for Western New York Sports.
WesternNewYorkAthletics.com.
Okay, now
Yep.
tell me about that.
Well, it's run by a guy named Frank Wolf, and I kind of just caught on with them a few months ago. I noticed some stuff going on online, and I wasn't coming back to. I previously coached at Sweet Home, and I wasn't going to come back this year, but I wanted to be involved somehow anyway. And I think I'm a decent writer, so I'm interested in football. I'm interested in wrestling, so I got in touch with Frank, and he let me kind of come on board, and I did a little football coverage, and now I'm pseudo designated wrestling correspondent for Western New York Athletics, and it's going very well so far.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, they picked the right guy because you have a pedigree in wrestling. Now, your father was an amazing high school coach, and I was reading an article where he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
No, tell me about that.
He's
Now, first mention his name.
my father's name is Tom O'Rourke. He coached at I'm originally from Central New York. My hometown is Boonville, small town.
Boonville.
That's right. It's a place. Oneida County. My dad coached at South Lewis Central in Lewis County from '93 up until 2003, 2004.
Okay.
He was the head coach up there for the South Lewis Falcons. 2003, 2004, we moved to Boonville, and he returns back to Adirondack, where I went to high school and where he started as a coach. He had a great 10-year run at South Lewis. He created something out of what was nothing. He competed with National Hall of Fame coaches that were inter-county, and he just created a small school powerhouse in upstate New York in the 90s and early 2000s that was very well respected. He competed with large schools all over the place.
5 state champs. That's what I read. He coached 5 state champions. I don't know if that's correct.
No, 5 sectional champions.
Oh, 5
Yeah,
sectional?
5 sectional.
Oh,
Five
okay.
sectional champions at South Lewis. Back when it was all one division tournament, no
Okay.
separation between big schools and small schools.
Okay.
3 section champions, 5 different sectional titles,
Okay.
which was a big accomplishment for a small school like that. And the highest ranked, or the highest finisher he had, I guess, the state tournament, took second in the state to a guy who was a 4-time New York State champion and national champion at Harvard.
It's not
So-
easy to win a state title in high school. The one thing I do remember, and the one thing I do follow is state champs. Now, some guys win state championships like when they're in the 9th grade. You know, some do. And then you have to contend with the same guys for like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult to win a state championship because you have to get progressively better as the guy that's been there for, since the 9th grade as they get progressively better.
That's right.
So now, do you specialize in Section 6 or Section 5?
I mostly specialize in Section 6 just because I've been here for the last few years. I pay attention to a lot of what's going on in Central New York because that's where I'm from and I still have a lot of ties there. I try to keep as close attention as I can around the state to make sure I know what's going on. But since I'm right here in Section 6, I'm trying to get caught up to speed, I guess, so to speak, on the history and who everybody is and where they wrestled before I kind of go large scale.
Okay.
I do know a bit about every place in New York, though, a little bit.
Okay,
Yep.
well, to do my research on wrestling, high school wrestling, I went to a very informative website. It's called armdrag.com, www.armdrag.com. If you want to go to that site, they have rankings, individual rankings, team rankings. They split up the teams in Division 1, 2, and 3, small schools, large schools. So if you want to know anything about high school wrestling, go to armdrag.com. I'm not getting paid by them, and I'm just giving them a plug.
Yeah.
But in Section 6, who's the powerhouse in Section 6 as far as a school? What school is just... Because when I was in Rochester, I'm from Section 5, Spencerport
Oh, yeah.
was always the powerhouse school. They have a hell of a program. Now, who is that in 2017, 2018?
Well, I'll give you a plug real quick for Spencerport because they are certainly back. I watched them last weekend at Cheektowaga. They are. I would officially say that the Rangers are back. In Section 6, that's a great question. I ask myself that question a lot, and I ask a lot of people that question, and I'm trying to get a feel for what the programs are like. I don't really, to answer your question would be to define the best programs top to bottom. Coaching, varsity team, the depth of their varsity team, tapping how many JVs they might have or send to a JV tournament on any given day, their modified team, their Pee-wee program, what kind of parental support they have, what kind of financial support they might have.
You factor all this in?
Yeah, as much as I can. I try to, yeah.
Okay.
Just without getting into too many details and numbers, just from an observation standpoint.
Okay.
I would say Niagara-Wheatfield. Niagara-Wheatfield is tough every year.
Yeah, they're a powerhouse.
Coach Sweeney, Coach Plotz have a great program going. They've got a great Pee-wee program. They're active all summer long. They send kids all over the East Coast, all over the country. As far as I'm concerned, they take teams up to the Thousand Islands duels. They certainly try to get it done, and they know what they're doing. Pioneer, small schools, Class B team. Coach Chris Edwards has always got a great team. He's always got guys coming back that were sectional placers, state sectional champions, state wild cards nowadays. Falconer, Coach Wilcox down in Falconer near Jamestown, is just a rich tradition of wrestling in small schools.
Okay.
Clarence Wrestling.
How about Iroquois?
Iroquois is one of those teams that it matters to them. Wrestling has to matter to the town and the people in the school for the program to ultimately be successful. And Coach Allmeter has got another packed team, and they also are down in small schools this year too. I might add, they dropped from Class A to Class B.
Okay. Now, wrestling, now I cover a lot of boxing, I cover MMA, I even cover jiu-jitsu. If I had some sumo guys here, I'd probably cover them too.
Yep.
But wrestling I would like to consider it a martial art. It's like a culture. You know, they get a lot of the parents get their kids started really young. Now, how old do you have to be to start in wrestling? I know in amateur boxing, you have to be 8. How old do you have to be to start in competitive wrestling?
Competitive, I guess it's all relative based on age. I would say as soon as you can walk.
Really?
You get kids. There's something about getting kids as soon as when they're children, getting them around a wrestling mat, getting them around the high school wrestlers, and which I was able to do because my dad was a coach. It's seeing wrestlers and being around them and getting that culture from a very early age. I mean, there's peewees that go from 5 years old to about kindergarten age all the way up through high school. And I mean, there's weight divisions and there's age separations and there's things like that. But it's set up so that the more kids that want to be involved, that can be involved, that there's an opportunity for them.